If you're a content creator, a podcaster, a musician, a YouTuber, if you're any kind of content creator, like a YouTuber or streamer or podcaster, or even just a musician, we're living in a time that has all kinds of awesome ways to hook up your different audio devices into your computer to record and stream and do all that crazy stuff. And there's even awesome little sexy devices like this that you can hook up your console, your PC, and your microphone and just stream everything all at once. But you're definitely going to pay for the sexiness. I like to find ways for you to save money and get the job done and have an awesome audio interface without breaking the bank. And today we're going to be taking a look at this Tascam Ministudio Creator, or the US-42B. Hey everybody, it's Chris from FamilyGeekery, and today we're going to be taking a look at this Tascam US-42B. This is an audio interface, obviously for hooking up microphones or instruments and recording them into your computer for either recording or streaming. And this thing, I think, has a lot of features in it and a lot of capabilities for a small price tag, and you can catch it on sale sometimes for even cheaper. So we're going to be taking a look at what it can do, how to use it, how it might work for you, and just see if it's something that might do exactly what you need without a whole bunch of flashy stuff that you don't need. So we can see from the front of the box here basically what it is. It's a desktop USB interface for your microphones, instruments, all that good stuff. Looks like we got two channels here. So let's go ahead and take a look at the back to see what kind of features it might list out. And it shows here dual XLR TRS microphone inputs with 48 volts phantom power, so they're basically combo jacks. We'll look at that. Quarter-inch high Z built into that for your guitars. 4-band EQ, full-featured audio interface, connects easily to Windows, Mac, or iOS device, and we're going to test that up with the recording device that I'm using right now, which is an iPad Pro. So we'll hook that up and see how well that works. And it says it's a dynamic broadcast studio. Illuminated speaker button lets everyone know that you're live and on the air. Well, I don't know how many people are going to see that. Hopefully it's just you in the room or a couple people in the room. Built-in reverb for instant special effects. Add the sound of a concert hall, a cave, or an auditorium with a single knob. That might be helpful for some kind of, music audio interface, but not necessary for if you're doing podcasting or YouTubing or streaming. 3 dedicated sound pad buttons to add real-time drama and impact to your broadcasts. So we looked at, like I said, a sexy device like this. It's got your sound pads on it, so that's something that's nice to have on there. And then built-in voice effects with a dedicated quick button. Change your voice, amaze your fans. So let's go ahead and open this thing up and take a look at the hardware, and then we're going to hook it up and test it out. So here's what we got. Here's the Tascam Ministudio Creator, and Tascam is a name that's been around forever. They've been making all kinds of portable recording devices, recording studios, 4-trackers, both in the analog days and the digital days, and they still make a lot of audio interfaces and digital products as well. So I have a lot of trust in that name. They've been around, like I said, for a long time. So not the sexiest looking thing in the world, but I think it's got a lot of functionality to it for what it is. So let's take a little tour around here. Obviously we got our 2 combo jacks. That's going to be for our XLR input if we're using a microphone. We got our 48 volts for condenser microphones if we need, or we can turn that off if we're just using a dynamic microphone. So we got 2 of those individual volume levels or gain levels probably there, and then an instrument setting also if you're going to be plugging in an instrument in here like a guitar or something. So you could be either a 2-person podcast, recording live right in front of each other, or you could be one person in his acoustic guitar or something streaming out to the world. So that's pretty cool. We get our reverb that we can turn on or off, or I guess up or down from here. We've got line out, so I'm going to guess on the back here we'll have some line out jacks that we can adjust that. So if we had some studio monitors or computer speakers or something, we could use that. And then of course the headphone levels. We'll look to see what kind of headphone options we have on the front here. Here's the 3 sound pads we talked about, so we'll have to take a look at how we program those up. It may be as simple as just holding them down and then talking into it or recording something into it. to record it. Here's our effect button. We'll test those out. And then this, I guess, is going to be the record button or the live button, I guess, to activate and to show that you are recording. So let's take a look at some of these inputs and outputs. On the front, we've got a 1/4-inch jack for headphones, and we've got a TRRS for a headset, so you got your headphones and your microphone there. So if you didn't have an XLR mic, looks like you could just use your standard, headset mic for gaming. And here, obviously, you probably have a higher quality mic if you use a standalone. We've got an aux-in jack, so maybe if we have some background music or something that we wouldn't want to put in there, it must just mix in there somehow. I don't see an individual level for that, so we'll have to play around with that and see how that works level-wise. And then loopback, that usually means that you'll be able to hear yourself while you're recording what you're recording. So that's always helpful. You can turn that on or off depending on the stuff. Actually, it's usually coming from the computer. If you're using this as an audio interface or basically an external sound card, if you have something coming back from the computer, you can have that come through and either record or not record. So we'll play with that. Let's take a look at the back. On the sides, just some pretty molding here. On the back here is our line out. So we've got a stereo line out that we can adjust the volume again with the knob up front there. Power on and off. The USB cable is going to plug in here. And then if it says for standalone use, DC in 5 volts. So you could use this, I guess, as a tiny little mixing board, just for the instruments and stuff that you have plugged in here. And if you didn't need to hook it up to a computer, you could just use this and the line out. So you could have a tiny little mixing board heading up to a PA or something. Or you could feed this into a bigger mixing board. So if that's the case, you'd probably want to just power this thing up with 5 volts. But if you plug this guy in to the computer, then I think it's going to power itself up and you'll be fine. So like I said, for the money, it's going to be able to do a lot for us. So I think the next thing we're going to have to do is hook this up and start talking through it. Alright, so let me explain what I've got set up here right now. And first of all, I will apologize that it probably doesn't sound too great because we're coming in through a headset jack. And also, if you look at the VU meter here, everything's coming in the left channel. So if you're listening to this in headphones, I apologize, it's all in your left ear. But let's go ahead and talk about how I've got it set up. Right now, I've just got it set up through the USB cable coming into my iPad Pro, and I did apply the 5 volts power because my iPad, I've got it plugged into a docking station basically, and the docking station wasn't providing it enough power. It was powering it up and then it would die, it would power it up and die. So I just tested out the 5 volts and it's working fine like that. So like I said, this is just a gaming headset, just a real cheap gaming headset, so I'm talking right into one of those little gooseneck microphones plugged right into here. I've got the volume basically all the way up just about, and you can see I'm getting up there and just barely peaking every now and then. So the level I think is fine. The audio quality is probably a little bad to be expected because we've got this microphone, this just cheap microphone in my face right now. But let's go ahead and test out some of the other stuff, and then I'll switch over to an XLR mic. So we've got our little generic reverb switch here. So I'll just start turning that up a little bit, and you can hear a little bit of cavernous echo in there as I turn it up more and more. So that's, I guess, handy to have a real quick way to adjust that. Let's go ahead and hit this effect knob here.
And see what that sounds like. So right now it's
This looks like a toggle on or toggle
off, just one voice. So maybe when we hook this up to a computer, it'll have some software that'll let us check
or adjust what that effect is. Right now the sound pads are empty. And I'm guessing the software will have some way of loading sound files in there. And then this button here, it's basically like a reverse mute button. If I turn this off, so you could still see my level up here as I was talking, but you probably didn't hear anything because it's just coming into here and then it's just not ever going out that USB. So like I said, like a reverse mute button just to take everything that's here and cut it off from whatever the source is, whatever the recording source is. So that's kind of handy. Luckily, it also cuts it off from my headset, so I know that I'm not recording anything. That would be kind of bad if that accidentally got bumped and you didn't know it, but since I'm monitoring with my headset, then I knew that. So let's go ahead and unplug this microphone here, and I'll plug an XLR in and see what the sound difference is. Alright, so now I've unplugged the headset microphone and I've got an XLR microphone, and I'm talking through a Rode Pod mic. It's a dynamic microphone, which does take a lot of power, so I've got this gain turned basically all the way up. The VU meter looks good, but my incoming signal level on the iPad, it looks a little low. We'll have to see once I bring this into editing to see what it looks like. It's about the same level as it was with the headset, but as far as my earphones go, what I'm hearing through here, it sounds a lot better. It sounds a lot more like, broadcast radio type quality. So using the XLR cable with the XLR mic, definitely better. Still just coming through the left channel. So if you were just using this by itself, there is no pan ability built into this. So I can't just pan that over to the center or over to the right. So your channel 1 is going to be on the left, your channel 2 is going to be on the right. And it doesn't look like there's any way, like I said, from here to adjust that. So that's one downside. Once we get into a computer and get into some software, then we can probably tell this it's a mono channel and then have it either panned through the center or have some more direct control over it. But quality-wise, it sounds good. I'll have to see what it sounds like once I take a look at the recording and when I do the editing and see what it sounds like then. But I think the next step is to hook this up to a computer and see what kind of software control we have over this. Alright, so now I've got this hooked up to my computer and I'm capturing the software here. So this is the Tascam Ministudio software. You get it right off their website. It's got some software versions and firmware versions. This is not a brand new device, so these versions are a little bit old, but I think that just means that they've kind of perfected everything they can on it, so everything seems to work so far. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we can do with this. Up top here we got easy mode and expert mode. In easy mode you can see we got mic 1 and mic 2. Well, you can kind of change the kind of sound presets. So as I change to soft spoken or hard spoken, that may sound a little different than soft vocal and hard vocal. But we got that effect also over here where I can go ahead and change. I think the default we were looking at before was female, so let me scoot back over here and turn this effect on.
And now we can see that this is a female voice. And I've tested a lot of these devices before, and this is sometimes called baby, but it's just higher pitch. And if we go to male,
then you can hear what they think a male sounds like. But
I guess that's just because I've got a low voice already, and we're making it lower.
So if I had a really high-pitched voice like this, maybe that would sound more like a male.
But it just sounds like an ogre to me. And then we get echo. Check. So that's kind of cool. But my favorite is this radio voice here. It sounds like I'm talking on a walkie-talkie or an old-time radio. Breaker 19. So that's pretty cool. And then chopper. I'm not sure what chopper's doing. I guess it may be just kind of making my voice go in and out a little bit. But that's fun. We get that. Basically the easy set sound and effects for both mics. You can see we got both mics here. And then the reverb is for everything. So if I go ahead and turn on like Hall, I'll turn off this effect over here and turn the reverb up. So this is about halfway up. And you can hear that reverb coming across. And we've got a couple different settings like room, live, studio, that's a little drier. And then we got plate, and then expert. And we'll take a look at expert here in a second. But I think you can hear what the reverb sounds like. So let me turn that back down. And then down at the bottom here, we've got the 3 different sound effects. So you go ahead and just click on this, load any MP3 or WAV file that you want. And then when you hit the buttons, Then you've got the sound effects there, and it looks like you can mix those. Now, they didn't come in on my input meter very high, so let me go ahead and crank these up, and I'll go through all three of those again just to see what happens. So I'm not sure if those came through or not, because like I said, I'm not seeing it on my audio input, but I can definitely hear it in my headset. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but we'll play around with it some more. But then we can turn on with these little buttons here. It would make it endlessly loop whatever this sound effect is that you brought in. So if it was a good loop, you could just have it keep on going and going. Now if we shift over to expert, then you can see there's a lot more going on back here. So you can see we've got an EQ, a full EQ for both mic 1 and mic 2. We've got a compression setting here. We can change the effects and the adjustment of how much effects are on, the reverb send, and all of our reverb settings over here. We can change the levels and the fade ins and the fade outs and the start time of all of our sample files down here. And then we've got our master settings over here. If we're talking, if we're bringing in the audio loop back through, so we have the computer slider here and then the master output here. So if you had some audio coming in, maybe I'm playing some songs on Spotify or something on my computer, I could bring those up through here and then loop them back in to mix in with my master recording. So you can definitely set a lot of stuff up with this. The easy, sometimes if you can get it done in the easy screen, then go ahead and do it there. If you need to fine tweak something over here, then go ahead and do that. But if you don't know what you're doing, you can mess things up pretty quick. But it's not too hard. There's not too much going on here. It's probably just enough and not too much if you know a little bit about audio. Now, one thing I will point out is you can see on my master here that I've got both left and right channels going. So hopefully my single voice that's coming in just on the left side, and if you look over on the camera view in the upper right hand corner, you can see I'm still just talking in the left channel, and that's all it's seeing. But in my recording software, and I'm just using OBS for this, in my recording software, I took that channel that's coming in and I told it that audio input was a mono channel, and it knows automatically to throw it on both channels. So if you're using something like Audacity or GarageBand or whatever your audio recording software is, or if you're streaming through OBS, just make sure that you set that if you want your audio to be on one side or the other. And then once I did that in that software, I could change the pan left and right of where I wanted that to be. There is no, in this software, even in the advanced side, there is no setting for, panning mic 1 and mic 2 to different places, panning them both in the middle, or maybe if you have a two-person podcast, maybe you're going to bump this one a little bit to the left and this one a little bit to the right so you can kind of have a stereo spread. But there was no adjustments for that in this software. So whatever your audio recording software is, that's where you're going to want to do that. Now, if you do that and you want to keep that simple, then you want to make sure that down here, this ASIO, you turn that off. If you have that turned on, it's going to be a little bit more advanced setup in your audio recording software. But if you turn that off, then it's just a simple 2-channel, just a left and right, and everything's good to go. So the next thing I want to do, because I don't see anything in here, is I want to see where that aux input on the front comes in and how it gets mixed in. So I'm going to go grab something to play some audio and plug it into the front there. All right, so now I've got some audio coming in, and you can see right here, I've got the aux input cable coming in, and I've got it just coming from a laptop playing some stream beats from Harris Heller, some royalty-free music that's safe for streaming and recording with. But there is no control on this or in the software for that. So what you have to do is just basically mix that audio in by adjusting, and here I'll adjust on the laptop itself. Then I can bring that volume a little bit higher up into the mix. Or I can bring it back down. So you'll have to mix basically with whatever your input is, as long as it has some kind of volume setting. And but that is handy, just being able to mix, 2 microphones, an audio input. You got some sound pads, you got some, reverb You get a lot of functionality going on in that little tiny device, and once you set this up in the software, then you can kind of just close this out and open up your audio recording software and go to town. Start recording, streaming, whatever it is that you're doing. Alright, so what do you all think about this Tascam Ministudio thing? Pretty powerful for a little tiny box that just plugs right into your computer. Like I said, you can, if you're a podcaster, 1 or 2 channels here for your podcast, 1 or 2 people talking, mix in some music. If you're a streamer, here's your microphone. You can use a headset if you want, but I think we proved that you wouldn't want to use a headset. Grab yourself a decent microphone. I've got a review on a bunch of, I don't want to call them cheap, but budget-friendly microphones that all sound just like this one here. I tested out 3 different dynamic microphones. Any one of those would be a perfect mix for this. You can get those starting down in the $40 range. So if you're a streamer, grab yourself a decent dynamic mic, throw it right in here. You can plug in your gaming PC or your console into the aux in here, mix that in, and start streaming. Bring this thing right into your OBS, just like I'm doing right now, and you're good to go. And if you're a musician, you can either use this live by plugging in your vocals and your instrument, using the line outs there, going to your mixing board or PA, and kind of mix things around, have a little bit of effects if you need. And you can have this recording right to your laptop also if you want to record yourself live. Or you can even stream this over, whatever your streaming service is, stream it over Twitch and have your guitar and vocals going and play a little music for people. So a pretty versatile device for pretty cheap. Like I said, this thing goes on sale and it gets kind of ridiculously cheap sometimes. Tascam runs some sales sometimes. Amazon runs some sales sometimes. So go ahead and check that out. I'll leave a link down below so you can check it out and see if it's something that you might want to try out. Let me know down in the comments below if you have any questions at all. I'll be happy to answer anything I can about it. And let me know if this video was helpful to you at all by giving me that big thumbs up that I enjoy seeing. Check out the rest of the channel. I've got other audio gear tested, different audio devices for streaming and gaming and podcasting, all that good kind of stuff. So check out the rest of the channel. See if it's something there that you want to subscribe for. But that is going to wrap it up for this video. Thank you as always for watching. And until next time, peace out and geek out.